And welcome especially on this sacred day of Navratri. As I mentioned briefly in the Arati, this is the 6th day of Navratri. And every day is beautiful. It's a day in which we worship Ma Katyani. And she's this Devi, this goddess, an embodiment, a roop, as we say, of Ma Durga, who is here on earth literally to conquer this demon. And it's such a beautiful story because it reminds us over and over again of the power of Shakti, the power of the goddess, the lack of need for that sacred feminine energy to hide itself, to pretend to be smaller than it is, weaker than it is. It's a call toward a full embodiment and embrace of that power, of that goddess energy. And it's such a powerful and important reminder that when we align ourselves, it's not about whether we're in the body of a man or the body of a woman. The Mother Goddess is available for everybody. It's not that she's partial only to female bodies. She's there for everyone. And a reminder that when we align ourselves with that energy, that goddess energy, that divine feminine energy, that we actually become able to do battle with those demons. You know, a lot of us think, if you look kind of archetypally, you think about sort of the warrior as this male figure, and the female figure is the damsel in distress who the warrior is gonna save. But these stories of these embodiments of Ma Durga, they're the opposite. It's not the damsel in distress who the warrior is going to come save. It's that embodiment of Shakti, that divine feminine who is the one in her full power, in her full glory, who frees the world from the power of the demons, from the asuras. And you know, when you think about today, all of that which we're doing battle against, world hunger and climate change and human rights abuses and violence and greed and corruption and all of that, they're demons. They're, less tangible than the idea of a big thing in a forest with, long nails and fangs and whatnot. But they're demons in the world. They're created by demonic energies, meaning energies of ego, of arrogance, of greed, of separation, of ignorance. And so satsang isn't a time, it's not a time when I sit here and give lectures. It's interactive, but I feel so just in love with these days of Navratri and the messages that they give us. But I just wanted to begin by sharing, when we see that which we see in the news, or you see it when you open up social media or WhatsApp or wherever you're getting your news, and we feel such despair, and we feel so helpless and hopeless and small, and like, what are we going to do in the face of wars and environmental destruction and hunger? And it reminds us, align yourself with the Mother Goddess. align yourself with that energy that actually vanquishes the demons. And so, whatever gender of body you may be in, it doesn't matter, but just align yourself with that presence and power of the Mother Goddess, and ask her, especially these days where that power is so much, ask her, flow through me. Flow through me, use me as an instrument. Let me be an instrument through which your Shakti flows, so that I can be part of ridding this world of the asuras of today. You know, you read scriptures and stories, and whether it's the Ramayana, whether it's the, Devi stories, the Puranas, whatever we're reading, it's full of these demons in the forest, or the demon king Ravan, or these stories of the demons that actually lived in these bodies. And today I think they live much less tangibly in these individual forms of one demon in this part of the forest, or one demon over there in that island. But it's much more this collective energy that forgets the divine nature of ourselves and each other and the planet. So we've got another 3 days of Navratri left after today, and really just use it to connect with and harness that power of Shakti in you, because each of us is here as an embodiment of that energy as well. So with that, we start satsang always with a question that's come in advance from our beautiful family joining us online or through the internet. And then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and they'll bring the mic to you. Is there a subconscious mind? If yes, what is its role and how can we use it? Or is that not possible? There is most definitely a subconscious mind. Its role is the subconscious. Think about it as, we speak differently in Western psychology and Eastern spirituality. In spirituality, we speak about Gupt, Chitragupt. We speak about different aspects of our psyche. We speak about different aspects of man or buddhi or sanskaras. In our psychology, we speak about conscious and subconscious mind, unconscious mind. The subconscious, you can think of it as the place in which all of those impressions that we're not aware of go. The majority of them arise from early childhood. So let's say, for example, that when you were young, every time you cleaned your room, your mom said, "Oh, come here, you are my good girl, you're my good boy." And your mom gave you big hugs and kisses, made you special food, held you in her lap. And every time your room was a mess, your mom or your dad, maybe at least they were nice enough not to spank you, but they certainly did not say, "Oh, come here, you are the good boy or good girl." There were no special lap sitting, no special hugs for the dirty room. Maybe you were even told things like, "You're lazy," or "You're irresponsible. Why can't you be as good as your brother or your sister or your cousins?" Or, "When I was your age, my room was clean." Now, that's all happening consciously. You know, better clean my room so mom's not mad, or so that I get, extra cookies. But something is happening subconsciously at the same time. Subconsciously, what you are learning is my worthiness of love is based on what I do. Who I am is not inherently worthy of love. Room is clean, I get love. Room is dirty, I don't. Now, of course, your parents will say, oh, I love them anyway. But they don't show it. And so what we learn subconsciously is, if I want love, I have to perform. Hence, we end up generating workaholics who don't know why we're workaholics, right? We've got plenty of money already, like we've achieved good levels of success. Our health is down the drain. We don't have time to meditate. We don't have time to do yoga. Why do we keep pushing ourselves? Because on a subconscious level, we believe that we are only worthy of love based on what we do, what we achieve, how we perform. Because that love when we were young came when room was cleaned, chores were done, you got an A on an exam, good report card. So it goes in deeply. The conscious mind says, better get a good grade so mom is happy. Subconscious mind learns, my very worthiness of love is based on what I do. So the subconscious mind's role ends up being that which dictates a lot of our behavior in our life, especially the type of behavior that we don't understand. Right? Conscious mind is running consciously. Okay, I've got an important meeting at 9 a.m. It's traffic time. I better leave early today. That's conscious mind planning. We're aware of it. If you say, why did you leave early? Because I planned. I knew there'd be traffic. But all of that which you do that you say, I don't know why I keep ruining my relationships. I don't know why I keep hurting the people I love. I don't know why, no matter how much I know I should meditate, can't bring myself to do it. Why don't I exercise? Why don't I eat right? Why don't I think that I'm worthy of being taken care of? This is all subconscious mind stuff. We are self-fulfilling prophecies. We've taken in ideas, impressions, narratives, truths that I put in these air quotations because they're not actually true, but we took them in. When we were young, typically. Let's say that you've got a sibling, you're being introduced to a new person, mom or dad is introducing you, and mom or dad says about you, oh, somebody's talking about your sister or your brother, and they say, oh, wow, God, she's so pretty, he's so handsome, he's so cute. And then your mom points to you and says, he's the smart one. What do you grow up feeling? I'm ugly. They didn't mean it. They didn't mean to hurt you. But we take it in. And then as you move through your life and you're not sure why you're compulsively getting cosmetic surgery or why you just always feel insecure. Nobody's allowed to see you without makeup. Nobody's allowed to see you before you're all done up. You hate your looks. Why? All this stuff, you can think about it as your emotional baggage. The stuff that you just lug around year after year after year after year. Subconscious mind. How do we work with it? The challenge is the conscious mind does not communicate very well with the subconscious mind. So when the conscious mind says, I am beautiful, the subconscious mind is snoring and snoozing. It's not even present. You know, in those cartoons sometimes, you'll see two people talking, and one person is saying something out their mouth, but what the other person is hearing, you see in this, like, you know, bubble over the head, and it's gibberish, right? It's just like symbols and letters. It means nothing. The subconscious mind is not hearing what the conscious mind says. The way to work with the subconscious mind is through dropping deep into meditation, prayer, ritual, mantra, all of the things that actually change our brain waves, the energy of the brain, allow us to access the subconscious mind and allow us to change. And it's why meditation, it's why prayer, it's why mantra, it's why ritual is so important. Because it actually sends the brain into different brain levels, brain waves. Other ways of working with the subconscious mind are through a lot of affirmation. So while it doesn't listen to the conscious mind once, it absolutely gets messages that it hears a lot. So if you know that you've got a subconscious story that isn't true, keep telling it that which is true. Have a personal mantra, a personal affirmation reminding you of the truth. Meditate upon the truth. Read scripture pointing you in the right direction. You'll change it. You can change it. Our minds can be changed. Our brains can be changed. You are not a victim of it. But the first thing you have to do is see it. The subconscious mind is hidden. Freud used to speak about it as an iceberg, where most of it is under the water. So first we have to be able to see it. What is it? What are my patterns? Insight, introspection, contemplation, all of these things, they're very powerful. And then we heal. We look at them, we see them. We realize, oh, that's just the voice of my 5th grade teacher who was going through a divorce and miserable and took it out on me by telling me that I was stupid every day in school. Oh, I'm not really stupid. I took that inside. Oh. And then we become free. But if you walk around carrying I am stupid and you have no idea where it came from, you're just going to keep fulfilling that prophecy. Because it's important that our life bear out what we believe to be true. And so if we don't change our beliefs, you're going to create a life. This is when we talk about the power of manifestation. What you believe, it will come true. If I'm moving through the world believing that I'm stupid and lazy and I'm never going to amount to anything, you can be pretty sure that's true. Not because I'm stupid, but because I am creating congruence. I am creating a life that matches my beliefs. The work that we do in introspection, in contemplation, in psychology and therapy and all of those types of work is to look at our patterns. Who told me that? Why do I believe that? Where did this impression come from? And then we create new impressions. In so many cases, simply seeing where it came from is in and of itself more than halfway there. And then we just create new impressions. It's what spiritual practice does. So you're in exactly the right place. Beautiful. Other questions? Yes, of course. Maybe you can just stand and tell us your name. And wonderful. Then we can all see your beautiful face.
Hello. My name is Maria from Uruguay.
From Uruguay, wonderful.
I have a question for my friend that she's asking how to put healthy limits to other people without feeling guilty, or she has a lot of issues with the limits.
Beautiful. Okay. Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes, boundaries. Healthy boundaries. This goes back in a way to the first question around subconscious programming. If in me I don't believe that who I am is worthy and whole and good and divine, I better make everybody around me like me so that I can feel good about myself. And if that's your situation, you will never have boundaries. Because you will spend your life trying to do what makes everybody else happy so that they will project good person back onto you, so then you feel like a good person. This is a symptom of having a damaged self-perception, an incorrect self-perception. What in Sanskrit we would call agyan, ignorance, lack of wisdom. But she would be in very good company, because this is something that many, many, many of us suffer from. Somebody wants us to do something. We know that we can't. It's not good for us. It's a huge imposition. If we do it, it'll mean we can't meditate, we can't get enough sleep, we can't take care of ourselves or our families. But we say yes because we are so afraid that if that person doesn't like me, it's going to mean I am not a good enough person. But could you imagine standing over an apple tree in the winter time where it's snowy and it's lost its leaves, yelling at the apple tree that you are worthless and useless and horrible and awful and a mean tree because I want green apples in December and you're not giving me green apples in December? It would be crazy. We understand there are times in which this tree can give me apples. And there are times in which this tree has no fruit. The tree is essentially turning inward. Winter is a time of hibernation for much of nature. The tree is hibernating in a way. You would never get angry at the tree. You would never think less of the tree. You understand, it's got seasons. Why do we expect ourselves to 24/7 somehow be able and prepared and healthy to simply do what everyone around us wants? It's impossible, it's inconceivable. We have to draw boundaries. I heard a very beautiful line recently that I loved. And the line says, if you don't learn how to say no, you'll never really be able to say yes. Because it'll mean that everything that you're doing under compulsion. And it'll mean that you're not actually saying yes to anything in life. Only by saying no do we have the opportunity to really say yes. So, in order to learn to set boundaries, start small. It's not easy. If you've spent your life people-pleasing, it is not easy. Start small. But learn how to say no without feeling like you need to make excuses, be honest. I would love to, however, I cannot. I cannot because, maybe you want to even give reasons, I cannot because this. Maybe you don't even want to give reasons, depending on the circumstance. You don't have to give reasons. No is actually a full sentence. There are situations, there are relationships sometimes where giving reasons is helpful. Give them if you want. But do not feel that your worthiness of occupying your place on planet Earth is how much you say yes. We need to say yes to life. We need to say yes to our dharma. We need to say yes to being an instrument in God's hands. Absolutely. But sometimes that which certain people want of us actually prevents us from saying yes in bigger ways. They will tell us we're being selfish. Our own inner mind will even say you're being selfish. But a lot of times what happens is the demands that some people place on us prevent us from really being able to give, really being able to say yes, really being able to be an instrument of healing and help. So ask yourself, what is the way I am meant to serve? And draw those boundaries. You need that protection. Obviously, say yes as much as you can. It's a nice thing to do. It feels good, makes other people feel good. But only to the extent that it isn't causing detriment to your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual being, or to your fulfillment of your own dharma. But it's a practice. But start now, start small. Decide that you're going to say no to at least one thing every day. Beautiful. Yes. Other questions? Yes. Yeah, he's good.
Hi, Dan from Israel.
Wonderful.
I wanted to ask for you to talk about forgiveness. And is understanding enough for forgiveness?
Is understanding enough for forgiveness? I don't think so. When I think about personal times of holding on to anger and pain, simply understanding why someone did something, it's a huge step to forgiveness. But I'm not sure that in and of itself it is always enough. I think in some cases it's enough. But I don't think it's always enough. Because sometimes, honestly, we're not going to have a reason. Sometimes their reason isn't going to be something we can understand. You know, if you go into jails, you go to, death row, and you start talking to serial killers, for example. Why did you do it? Well, they'll give you a reason. They're not going to say, because I'm evil and crazy. They're going to have some reason. Maybe the reason is because, the devil told me to do it. Maybe the reason will be because I'm purifying the world of these bad people. Maybe the reason will be because they wanted it or they deserved it. Whatever it may be. But they're not going to say anything that you will be able to understand. You're not going to hear their reason and go, oh, now I get it. Boy, that's too bad that you were given the death penalty, because that really makes a lot of sense. You're going to walk away feeling like, oh my God, these people are nuts. Thank God the world is going to be free of them. Yes, they have a reason, but that reason is created out of very likely severe chemical imbalances in their brain, severe trauma that they experienced that led them into this type of life. It's not going to be something that's going to be comprehensible to you with your mindset. So if you think about, for example, having had a loved one killed by a serial murderer like that, if you needed to be able to understand why they did it, you look at school shootings. Why do 14-year-olds go into school with a gun and blow up the school? Well, again, they're going to have a reason. I was angry at my teacher. How dare they kick me out of class? How dare the kids were mean to me? But that's not going to give you enough to be able to forgive the person who killed your loved one. So I think in addition to understanding, what we really need for forgiveness is the awareness that you deserve to be free. That your spiritual freedom is your birthright. Regardless of what someone has done to you, to your loved one, to other people who you don't even know but you feel for them, or to this planet, your spiritual freedom is not hindered or handicapped in any way based on that person's ego or arrogance or evilness or greed or illusion or craziness or chemical imbalance or whatever it is. Regardless of what that person's karmic package and karmic journey is, you deserve to be free. And that is the fundamental core for forgiveness. We forgive not because what somebody did was forgivable, not because we necessarily understand why they did it. If you can, that's great. Consider it a bonus. But it's not a prerequisite. The only prerequisite for forgiveness is an awareness that I deserve to be free, regardless of what someone did. But me holding on to anger and pain is actually preventing me from being free. My grudge, my anger, my pain is the chain that binds me. And so we forgive. Because if we don't forgive, we cannot be free. And it's so important to realize that that forgiveness does not require that we absolve them of what they did. Again, there are things that people do that by our ethical standards, our moral standards, our legal standards, are unforgivable. They will suffer the karmic consequences, the legal consequences of what they've done. You forgiving them does not absolve them. Forgiveness is not the universe then removing their karma. Your forgiveness is just setting yourself free. Pujya Swamiji always says so beautifully, he says, whatever they've done, they are in a karmic jail based on what they've done. Even if they're not in an actual jail, if nobody caught them, or if what they did was just morally and ethically wrong, but not actually legally wrong. Betrayal, cheating, lying, these things are awful. But you're not going to find a judge to throw someone in jail for cheating on you or betraying you or lying to you. But they're in jail anyway. They're in a karmic jail. But you not forgiving throws you in jail with them. They have no choice. They've done the actions that have created this karmic bondage now. But you have a choice. You have the freedom to be free of that jail. And so you forgive. So that you can be free. And again, it doesn't mean that you necessarily go back into relationship with them. I mean, if someone has harmed you in a severe way, in an abusive way, the best thing may be not to go into relationship with them again. So forgiveness does not mean a clean slate for them. It just means that I no longer am going to carry what that person did in my past into my present and my future. I was a victim at some point in the past, but if I carry it into the present, I become the perpetrator. They hurt me then, but by me carrying it into today and tomorrow, I become the one hurting myself. I'm the one thinking about it. I'm the one ruminating on it. So now I've gone from being victim to perpetrator. So for forgiveness, just know you deserve freedom. And so you forgive. With the awareness that the karmic, the divine law of karma is going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. But you don't have to be its secretary. Yeah. Other questions? Yes, last.
Namaste, Sadhviji.
Namaste.
I'm so grateful for your presence. I would like to ask, how do we know it's a toxic relationship? And when do you know it's time to walk away? Especially
Great.
if there's a kid involved.
Yeah, okay. How do you know when it's a toxic relationship? And how do you know when it's the right time to walk away? Especially if there's a child involved. So there's some parts that are super clear, and then other parts that start to get a little bit vague. Super clear parts, abuse. Physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. If there is abuse in a relationship that's harming you, it's toxic. The very definition of toxic is that which harms us. I've eaten something that's toxic, my body is going to be harmed. If that person is harming you, the relationship is toxic. Sometimes people are prepared to get help for their toxic behavior. Sometimes the relationship means enough to them, and they're able to recognize that their toxic behavior is based on their subconscious. It's based on what they experienced in their life. And they are prepared to get help, and they're prepared to do the work. Because the truth is, most of us at some point in our life have been toxic to someone. And it may have only been for 10 minutes. It may have just been when you lost your temper totally inappropriately and took it out on someone. Most of us, probably all of us, at some point have been harmful to another. Because something was going on in our subconscious that erupted out. We didn't mean to hurt them, but we were overcome with anger, with fear, with confusion, with frustration, with exhaustion, whatever it was, and we took it out. If we start to notice a pattern in our life, one of the questions people ask a lot is, how do I work with my anger? It's a great question. It means somebody's trying to get help. They recognize that it's toxic, and they're trying to get help. So if that person is willing and prepared to get help and to change, have patience. Assuming, of course, that the abuse is not severe. If it's severe, let them work on it while you are safely someplace else. Hold the space for the possibility of a reconciliation, but ultimately, most importantly, you need to protect yourself and your child. But if the abuse is not on that level, and they're working on it, sincerely, deeply, not just showing up in therapy once a week because they know you're going to leave them otherwise, but really with awareness and commitment and sincerity, it bears patience. But I'll tell you something with regard to children. You know, we worry so much about what's going to happen to that child if I leave that toxic situation, that abusive situation. One of the worst subconscious programs that you can give to a child is to believe that abuse is okay. More harmful than the disruption in their life of leaving the abusive relationship is the lifelong belief that being abused is okay. See, my mom took it. That's actually much more harmful than the disruption. The last thing you want is your child growing up believing that they too deserve to be harmed, deserve to be abused. Our children should know that they deserve safety, security. And again, not impulsively, not in a moment because we had a fight and I stormed out, but with careful, deliberate thought. You know, I mean, think about if you were living in a home and suddenly you discovered that, you know, in the groundwater there were toxic chemicals that were leaching into the soil, and when your kid played in the front yard or the backyard that they were getting literally poisoned by some chemicals in the soil that were coming from some nearby industrial plant. Well, you'd pack up and you'd move. You'd recognize it's a disruption, it's a new school, it's a new this, it's a new that. But you wouldn't allow your child to grow up in a toxic environment just because the move would be disruptive. So you're going to have to decide on your specific situation. No relationship is perfect. We're all human beings. We're working with our human packages. We've all got confusion and ignorance and fear and stories and narratives and triggers and all of that. We all lose our temper probably more than we'd like to. We all say things that we probably later regret saying, do things that we later regret doing. The question becomes whether that person you're in a relationship with is actually harming you or creating an environment of harm in the home that is not safe. Our homes should be safe. Physically safe, emotionally safe, mentally safe, spiritually safe. And if our home is not safe, whether it's because an industry outside is leaching chemicals into our groundwater, or whether it's because of someone with whom we share the home, we have to get out. It's the very definition of self-love or motherly love. Yeah, and I know it's not easy. This is why we talk about Dharma not always being easy, not always being fun. Yeah. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us online. There will be, by the way, starting just right after satsang, a beautiful music program taking place right here in this hall. So I encourage everyone to stay back